Hey friends, so there continues to be an endless stream of new fragrances being released. We can't possibly try them all, or maybe we can if we chase down decants endlessly. But at some point, we have to sleep, we have to cook, we have to go to work, we have to do other things, we have to live. We can't be smelling fragrances all day long. I do want to talk about 9 fragrances that I've had an opportunity to smell that are on the new release side and ask your questions about 1, 2, 3, 4 fragrances that were on my interest radar, but that I haven't had a chance to sample. I'm really interested to know if you have, and if so, what your thoughts are on them. So if you remember, I did 2 videos recently that one was focused on like new releases that were designer and the other was focused on new releases that were niche. This video sort of combines both of them into one just for simplicity's sake. In the designer video, I mentioned that I was interested in purchasing Daisy Wild from Marc Jacobs. I was interested in Flower Bomb Tiger Lily, and I was interested in My Way Nectar from Armani. I did end up purchasing those 3 fragrances, and I'm really enjoying all 3. So I want to give a thumbs up to those. And then let me also go to a fragrance that I mentioned in that video I was unsure about. So I purchased a travel spray of it, and it is Donna Born in Roma. Is that what it's called? Or is it just called Stravaganza? Hold on, let me get my facts straight. Give me a second. It is. It's called Donna Born in Roma Green Stravaganza. So I did get a little travel spray. I do appreciate that the Valentino travel sprays come in plastic covers that are studded like the bottles are. So I mentioned in that video that I was a little hesitant because of the bottle being green or the juice being green from the bottle. Let me tell you something. This is so lovely. You all were not wrong. I kept seeing in the comments people saying, you really need to try it. I love it. I bought it. It is fantastic. I'm enjoying it. It's my favorite new release, all of that. I totally can understand why people have fallen in love with this fragrance. So it does for me have the original Donna Born in Roma DNA. And so what I mean by that is like this floral and vanilla and maybe even like a woody aspect to it. So, that fragrance is mostly, if I remember correctly, different types of jasmine and a lot of vanilla. And I would say this is a sweet vanilla heavy fragrance. I think this is supposed to have tea in it as well. I can't say that I particularly get a pronounced tea. Like if I didn't know that that was a note, let me see if it is. Yeah. In fact, the top is supposed to be this certain kind of tea note. I wouldn't know to say that I have a tea note in this fragrance. I would say that there's something bright and refreshing at the top. I might even call it like a citrus note. And it settles down into a floral vanilla fragrance. This was very pleasant to wear. It smells great in the air. Whenever I spritz this, so I've tested this now, I would say 3 or 4 times. And what I mean by test, you all, is like I will spray on my forearm or on the back of my wrist. Oftentimes, like as I wake up or right before bed, those are usually the times that I test so it doesn't interfere with any of my other like fragrance of the day type of thing. Every time I've sprayed this on, my husband has commented that I smell really good. And he's commented from a ways away. Like he might be on the other side of the room and go, that smells really good. What is that? What are you testing? And it's been this for the past few times that he has asked. So I don't know if I'm going to get a full bottle because I've been going a little bit crazy purchasing, as you can see. And, I might need to rein it in a little tiny bit here, or maybe not. Let me just pause and say, buy whatever you want and what your budget dictates. Everybody's budget is different. For some people, they might not be able to buy a fragrance but once every few months. For others of you, you have a more generous budget and you're able to splurge a little. It's different for each person. So please, let's not judge each other for what we are able and willing to add to our collections. These are hobbies, just like anybody else has hobbies. I know folks that have car hobbies. Like you want to talk about an expensive hobby? How about like vintage vehicles or something like that? Some people have a makeup hobby. Some people like to collect certain kinds of tchotchkes or gems or whatever. Let people live. Like, let's stop judging each other for those sorts of things. But that said, you have to be realistic and be within whatever your personal budget dictates. These are hobbies, right? Like we can all live without perfume. Sorry, let me get off of my high horse there. So anyway, I don't know that I want to purchase an entire bottle of this right away. I may play with this little travel spray some more, but this is high on the interest list. It's bright, it's fun, it makes me feel good when I spray it. It makes me happy. It makes me jovial. Like I feel joy and happiness when I spray this. Like, oh my gosh, that's such an uplifting, fresh fragrance. I will say the dry down of this, like deep into the middle experience of it, mid, and then into the dry down phase, it does get mostly floral vanilla. So that's something to keep in mind, that the opening is so bright, so fresh, so like juicy, zesty. and then it sort of transforms still into a wonderful fragrance. But if the opening of this is what captures you, you want to keep that in mind before you think about purchasing a full bottle. But this, I think, is a win. I give this a big thumbs up. Then I've tried Cosmic by Kylie Jenner several times now. And by try, I mean I sprayed on myself, left the store, gave it a chance to do its thing, and checked out what I felt about it. I ended up not purchasing a bottle. I'll share why. But first, let me say, I think the bottle design is pretty cool. I like the way it looks, especially the bigger versions. The smaller they get, I think the weirder they are in terms of the size. The full size bottle, I think, is kind of pretty. I do appreciate that it's Kylie Jenner, who's someone who is younger, doing this fragrance that I think is beyond the sort of mold of fragrances that we think of for the young ladies in society. So we tend to think of, fruity, more cotton candy-esque, sweet fragrances, gourmand fragrances. This is a little bit more on the matronly side. It's supposed to be ambery, it's supposed to be floral and musky with vanilla. I did get a pretty good dose of a warm musk floral fragrance both the times that I tried it. And I liked it. I liked the opening of the fragrance quite a lot. The reason that I didn't splurge for a bottle is because in the dry down, it became a little nondescript for me and sort of started to break apart. Sometimes that happens with certain fragrances, that it opens up nicely on me, and then as it warms up on me, it just doesn't keep its composure or behave the way I want it to. It starts to sort of fray around the edges or maybe get a little stale or something like that. So that happened to this fragrance for me. And for those reasons, I'm not interested in the fragrance. And can I just put a little plug in? Because every time I think of Kylie Jenner, I now think of Timothée Chalamet, who she is dating or was dating, who is the star, the lead for Dune 1 and Dune 2, the movies. If you haven't seen Dune 2, friends, oh my God, one of the most amazing movies ever. And you don't have to be a sci-fi fan to appreciate it, but you do need to see Dune 1 to appreciate Dune 2. Timothée Chalamet is an amazing actor along with the rest of the cast in both movies. Phenomenal, both of them. Dune 2 blew my mind for nearly 3 hours of length that the movie is, 2 hours and 45 minutes. But I digress. Cosmic gets a thumbs up from me, except in the dry down where it starts to break apart, fall apart, and therefore I am not interested in purchasing a full bottle, but I do want to share that I think it's a lovely fragrance and definitely one worth checking out. Look, and if you're the kind of person that wants to hate on the Kardashian family and the Jenners and all of that, whatever, it's your dollar. If you're not interested in supporting that, fine. But I got to tell y'all, I find that sort of thinking just interesting, considering that we give a lot of money to a lot of different businesses and so forth. People always talk about voting with your money. Let me just say, we don't always know what's happening with the people behind corporations, behind companies, behind brands, and whatever. And so, like the witch hunt for the Kardashians, I don't even know what to say. Think whatever you want. But for those of you that are interested in Cosmic, I give it a thumbs up to at least try out and see how it works on you. This next fragrance is on the chopping block right now. I do want to give it another try and see how I'm really feeling. And maybe it will have matured a bit by then or developed a little bit further. And this is from Nette, and this is Pear Jam. I have other fragrances from this brand that I have really enjoyed. Thé Vanille is one. Rose Jam is another. And there's a third that I am forgetting the name of. Not Rose Jam, Rose Parade, Veronica. Rose Parade. This is Pear Jam. I love that it has the pink bottom that sort of reflects up through like an aquarium. It's really kind of cool. This is my own fault. I didn't wait until reviews came out on this. I got a little bit eager. And Coco Fleur, that's the third from the Nette lineup that I think is worth trying out. Back to Pear Jam. I was expecting a sweet pear jammy fragrance. And I was in that My Way nectar space thinking about how pretty the pear and florals are in that fragrance and how light and bright and happy and fun that fragrance is. And I was wanting sort of a repeat of that. And this fragrance sprays on okay. You do get some pear, but for me, the pear is an accompanying player. And some of the lead actors in here are like this woodiness and this patchouli. And I have to say there's something that smells a little bit plasticky in the fragrance to me that's off-putting. The parts of it that I like, and the parts of it that I don't like, just they're slightly headache-inducing. So the day that I wore this, I enjoyed it at first, like the first hour or so. And as it continued to develop, I felt like I was wanting to scrub it off. So I didn't. I sat through the experience. I suffered through it, for our perfume culture here, all of our fragrance friends. So I can tell y'all how this behaved. But that was my experience. And like I said, I do like to give fragrances a fair chance. So I'm going to try it one more time and see if it does anything different. And if it doesn't, I may be selling this or passing it along to someone. So that's Pear Jam. And then a fragrance that I picked up in the Sephora sale recently, and I'm very glad that I only got a travel spray. It is lovely, but I don't think this is for me, but I want to explain why. This is by Rosie Jane, and the fragrance is called Missy. Missy, like what a cute name that is, Missy. I like the aesthetic of the whole line. I like the way that the bottles look and are shaped and how they're like minimalist. The fragrance is like a tropical, pineapple, maybe coconut, floral, bright fragrance. The thing about this fragrance is that I do have a lot of fragrances like this already in my lineup. And so for me, for something to be in that tropical space and come into the lineup, it's got to be special. So this is one that I think would be fine for me to wear on outings, out to the beach, if we're out this summer doing fun, summery, tropical-y types of things. I wouldn't hesitate to spray this on, but it wouldn't be a fragrance that I would enjoy reaching for a lot. I'm trying to think of like, what does this remind me of? Because it's almost like nearly identical to another fragrance I had like this that I ended up passing along. But the thing I want to point out about this is the pineapple or whatever the bright sort of citrusy pineapple juicy notes are stick out a little bit further than I would like them to in the fragrance. They're a little bit more prominent and I'm missing like a creaminess that I would like. However, for people that want that, you want that bright, citrusy pineapple thing and you want it to smell more like tropical fruit juice. That's kind of what this is giving for me, like a watered down tropical fruit juice, and you want less of the coconut aspects, you might enjoy this. So I would definitely say check this out if that sounds like, something you've been looking for or want to try. For me, this just wasn't unique or interesting enough. And there's something a little bit like Play-Doh-esque on the dry down. It's like it loses some of the richness of the opening and dries down a little bit more like Play-Doh. Nothing wrong with Play-Doh. Some folks want to smell like Play-Doh. I have some Play-Doh scents. I just don't feel like I personally need this one. That doesn't mean I give the fragrance a thumbs down. I give it like almost a full thumbs up, like somewhere in this range, and would say try it if you want that sort of youthful, tropical fruit juice smell, at least for the opening. Let's keep going. So at Ulta, when I tried Cosmic on one arm, I tried Good Girl Blush Elixir on the other arm several times. This bottle is so pretty. I love the ombre effect on it. I have Good Girl Blush and I have a full on like love affair with Good Girl Blush. I think it's just such a wonderful, bright spring fragrance. Good Girl Blush Elixir was also very pretty. I found it different from Good Girl Blush in that the Elixir felt more powdery to me and it had more base, like more junk in its trunk, if you will, than Good Girl Blush did, which tends to just remain lighter and brighter and fun. That one does have, I think it's tonka bean and vanilla in the base, which give it some nice depth and roundness. The regular blush one, the Blush Elixir has added patchouli, there's an ylang-ylang note and a few other notes there. And I would say the patchouli does come through, but softly. I didn't find that it was like patchouli dominant at all. And it definitely still retains some of like the citrusy aspects of blush and like the brightness of blush, but then gets a little bit more, I don't know, like a creamy powderyness with an accompanying note of a soft patchouli. I enjoyed this fragrance. I didn't feel the few times that I sampled it that I really needed to purchase it. If you're in the neighborhood for what that fragrance sounds like, I do give it an enthusiastic thumbs up. I will say deep into the dry down, probably several hours into the experience, it did sort of start to fall apart on me in the same way that Cosmic did, which is interesting because I was testing them out side by side. It's almost like the parts of the fragrance, the components of the fragrance start to break apart. This is just a mental image. I don't mean that they chemically do that. The mental image I get of the olfactory experience is as though the parts of the fragrance are sort of breaking apart from each other and maybe like fraying around the edges. So kind of like the image is starting to like vanish and morph and change into something else. So I won't be picking this up, at least right now, although we know if things go on sale, it might change. It really is a pretty fragrance, at least in the opening and in the mid. So I give it a thumbs up. I lost my whole mind blind buying this next one because I have the original and I like the original. So like, what was I doing buying the intense version? But I'm so glad that I did because it is really good for me. And this is Acqua di Gioia, the intense version. I didn't even know about this. Did you? I was shopping around on Ulta one day and saw it and I was like, wait a minute, does that say intense? I thought I already had this and it's newly released in 2024. And so I'm probably going to be passing along my regular one and or selling it, or I don't know, giving it to a family member. I'm not quite sure. This fragrance is pretty intense on the citrus. Let me just say this. It is an intense fragrance all around. Like the name fits. This is strong, maybe even a little bit overpowering for some. So if you are sensitive to scents, this will give you a headache. Let me warn you. However, if you like a bright, citrusy, woody fragrance for spring and summer, I would say check this out. It's pretty pronounced on the almost like a tangy, tart citrus aspect of it. It reminds me somewhat of, is it Whispers of Truth from House of Sillage, the way that that is citrusy for a large portion of its experience, if I have the name right. It gives me some of that. There's musk and I think it's cedarwood in the base of this fragrance, but it also has some fruit in it. I can't say that I can describe the type of fruit, almost like an under-ripened green apple type of deal, but very, very mixed in with those heavy tart citruses. It's more citrus forward than anything else. So I would say citrus with musk and a nice cedar wood in the base. Overspray and you're probably going to knock yourself out. It is a super strong fragrance. I did spray maybe a little much of it, and the lemony, citrusy, tart aspects of it came shining through. I would say there's almost like a grapefruit and orange and maybe some other like even quince type of mixture in this one. This is nice. It was long lasting, got rave reviews in my house. So people liked it and the way that it smelled off of me. So this is a big win. Now I have to figure out what to do with the original bottle. I haven't tested them side by side. Maybe I'll keep both. I don't know. We shall see. But yay for this one. And then I'm super pleased with this next one. Honestly, I was not going to pick it up because it's called a body spray. I don't want body sprays anymore. I love watching other people talk about the body sprays that they enjoy. I went through this phase where I collected body sprays and then found that I just never used them. And so I ended up passing along a lot of them to friends and family. So I took a risk and it paid off. This is good, you all. This is good. Got this in the Sephora sale from Salt and Stone, and I believe this is a new line. At least I hadn't seen these before the Sephora sale. This one is called Bergamot and Hinoki. I think there's like is there a rose and an oud one, or an oud and something? And then I feel like there's a sandalwood, and is it vetiver? Whatever. I want them all now, because if they're anything like this, I like them and want them in my house. This does not feel like a body spray. It just feels like an EDT, like an eau de toilette fragrance on me. I ended up getting the body wash with this as well by the same one, Bergamot and Hinoki. And my husband and I both used that in the shower today. And we thought it was like such a nice, clean, fresh, like almost like a spa experience with that. I was like, yeah, this is really nice. And this is what this is giving. I think you can use this as a body spray. You can use this as a linen spray. You can put this in your hair. You can spray it in your shower before you shower. I've mentioned in other videos that I'm starting to do that to enhance my showering experience as the vapors warm up in the shower from the heat, from the water, the hot water. I will spray something in the shower just to have a sort of like spa-like scent experience as I'm bathing. So this one I would use for that and on myself. This is fresh and this is woody. You know, Hinoki is a special type of wood. It's hard to describe. It's hard to describe in words. So you can look it up and what it's supposed to smell like. But think like citrus and a bright woodiness. Hinoki to me smells like the inside of an actual wooden spa when it is heated up, like what that wood smells like. That's kind of that scent. So anyway, I want the other two and I want the other body washes now as well. The body washes are pricey to be a body wash. I think they're like $45 for like an 8 ounce. But y'all, we really enjoyed the showering experience. So I'm gonna give this a big thumbs up. Oh, did I say very unisex experience here? So if you need a feminine fragrance, if you don't mind a very nondescriptly unisex fragrance, like it doesn't lean one way or the other. Nondescriptly was a dumb word to put there. Erase that, redact that. A unisex experience. Wow. Okay, y'all, I know nobody's checking for this fragrance here on YouTube. I don't even know that anyone has talked about this. I have a personal obsession with the TV show Stranger Things, the series. It's not like a show, like a sitcom. It's a series called Stranger Things. And I've talked about it all on my other channel, like how in love I am with the show, with the cast, And especially with the lead actress, her name is Millie Bobby Brown. She is just all kinds, 10 tons of freaking adorable, that woman is. So, anyway, she started the show as a child, and you've seen her sort of grow up as they've recorded season after season. Raise your hand high in the comments, please, if you are waiting for Stranger Things season 5 to drop. We think it's dropping this summer, and I just cannot wait. I'm going to watch it. Watch it. Watch it. So, Millie Bobby Brown, started a makeup line called Florence by Mills, Mills, like Millie Bobby Brown Mills. And she released a fragrance called Wildly Me. I'm laughing because the bottle of this fragrance is nothing short of absolutely hideous. Like, I don't know who approved this bottle design for this lovely young actress. She deserves something better than this. She deserves something better. I didn't want to buy the full bottle because I didn't want to look at it, but I wanted to see, what did my girl Millie put out here? What did she think was Wildly Me? It's nothing like what I was expecting. I was thoroughly expecting like a cotton candy-esque young girl fragrance. That's not what you get. You get lavender and woodiness and other aromatics. And so for me, this is a very unisex fragrance. Here's what I have to say though. I don't like it enough to think about a full bottle at all. I don't even know that I would wear this on myself. I'll probably use this as like a linen spray, air freshener type of thing. No offense to Millie Bobby Brown and her effort here. It's super nice and pleasant on the opening. It's actually very comforting, aromatic, spa-like vibes. Like, it's calming, and I like that. And then it just kind of gets a little boring and dull as the top notes sort of fizzle out, and you're left with just this woody, very slightly aromatic base. Nothing wrong with that. I don't need this. I did want to try it, and I did want to share my thoughts on it. And my bed will smell amazing as I spray this on there to go to sleep. The next one is New York Flowers from Bond Number 9. I put this in my cart at Joma's shop, along with some other fragrances that were very limited in quantity, and I slept on it. I didn't pull the trigger on purchasing them. And, I went back a couple days later, and all the fragrances that I put in my cart were sold out, including this one. And I was just despondent because I really wanted this one of the bunch. And I ended up going to, I think it was the Perfume Spot is where I purchased this, but I have seen this elsewhere. So I would say if you're interested in this, do a Google search and see where it's showing up. Go to the shopping tab. Quick pause to say that as of the day that I am filming this, it is available on Joma's shop. Again, I will link that below for you. I want to say I saw it on eDiscount Perfumes too. Maybe check that out. Anyway, the fragrance. I was very attracted to this fragrance because I knew that it had a pear note. And I'm, a fiend for a good pear note. It's described as opening up fizzy, like champagne-y happy. I'm on the Bond Number 9 website now. This won the Harper's Bazaar Best Fragrance of 2023. And it's supposed to be celebrating the spirit of joy, renewal, and the natural wonders that each spring brings to New York City. The bottle reminds me of Easter, and it reminds me of mothers dressing up in flowy dresses for church or family events or baptisms and that kind of a thing. So immediately, this brings a lot of nostalgia. If you have some serious coin to drop and you don't mind, there is a version of this that is bedazzled in crystals, and I think it's over $1,000 for the bottle. Egad! However, the bottle is to die for. So, hey, everybody's budget is different. I'll leave that to you. I got this a little bit over the 200 mark. And I was very happy with that price because these retail for at least twice that or something crazy. Let me see. What is it retailing for? Y'all, this bottle on the Bond Number 9 website retails for a whopping $460. Ay Dios mío, that is a lot of change. A lot of coins rubbing together for this bottle, but it is really pretty. So, but get it on discount, okay? So what does this fragrance smell like to me? It's supposed to open up like champagne. I do get something a little bit sort of fizzy in the opening of the fragrance. I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to say it smells like fresh champagne. I do get a nice, very subtle pear accord in the fragrance. I get a bunch of florals, like clean, sweet, almost like juicy florals. Can there be a juicy floral? I don't pick up exactly a clementine note, but I do pick up a little bit of fruitiness in the fragrance. Maybe that's where I'm coming up with like the fruity floral thing from. Oh, Lord have mercy. There's iris. I do get some sort of cold purple floral feeling here. And I do get a soft, warm amber in the base. I would describe this as, if anything, like a warm floral with some touches of fruitiness in it. I do think this is a very interesting and mature fragrance. You're not going to get a sort of youthful, light feeling from this, at least my experience. When I wore it, I felt like I had a gorgeous floral for spring that had base from amber and some interesting aspects from that cold floral sort of set of notes in there, as well as this light fruitiness. The fruitiness is a side player, so I wouldn't call this a pear fragrance. I would call it a warm floral with some interest added, some intrigue, and like the pear and the iris are accessories. You know how you put on your jewelry last? Those are like the last notes on the fragrance. The body of this is a warm floral amber fragrance. So really a neat one. Glad to have it and looking forward to wearing it more. This was a hit in my house as well. Everyone liked it. Now I want to talk about four fragrances that I'm interested in, and I really want your opinions on them. One is Sunkissed Goddess from Kilian. I decided not to purchase that for a couple of reasons. One, I have a lot of fragrances that smell how this is described, so I wondered what really would that add to my collection. Did I need it? Likely not. I hate to use the word need because nobody needs any fragrances. We don't need it. Would it add? Would it fill some sort of gap or hole in my collection? And I thought no. It's super pricey for the I think it's a 1.7 ounce bottle, isn't it? And it's $295. I mean, even with the 20% off in the sale, that's about $60-ish off, a little under that, so about $230. It still felt like a lot for a fragrance that I probably have in my collection or close enough. And so I passed. The bottle wasn't unique or anything like that. However, I have been very interested in the reviews, and people really do seem to enjoy it. Some folks feel like it's a redundant fragrance to something they have in their collection. Some folks have said it smells a lot like Soleil Blanc. So, and I have Soleil Blanc from Tom Ford. What do you think? Have you purchased this? And if so, is it unique? Is it different? Are you enjoying it? Not that every fragrance has to be unique and different, friends. I'm just saying for myself, I don't know that it would have added anything to my grouping of fragrances, but I'm still interested in trying it out. So if decants show up anywhere, I'll probably get one just to kind of scratch that itch. I am thoroughly interested in the new Bond number 9 fragrance, the latest edition, which is called Magnolia. No, it's not. It's called Gardenia. It's like I want it to be called Magnolia. It's called Gardenia. The bottle appears to be cute, especially if what's on the front is textured and not just like a sticker. If you can actually feel around the ridges of the floral edges, that would be freaking cool. Please let me know if you have purchased this or sniffed in store. I don't have anywhere around here that I know of. I do have a Saks Fifth Avenue at a mall, but I've not gone in there recently to see if they have this line in stock. Anyway, I don't think I have anywhere that I can sample these fragrances. The website says, stunning, unapologetic, provocative. Sounds like a city we know, being New York City. I love that description. Like New York City itself, this sensual gardenia, gourmand floral, gourmand, okay, is strong and powerful, a fitting symbol for a city that roars for attention. The notes, jasmine, tuberose, rose, peony, gardenia, vetiver, vanilla. Vetiver. So all of the florals in there, I love vetiver/vetiver, however you want to say that. Can be a little bit tricky. Sometimes it shows up beautifully in fragrances and other times it's a little bit off-putting. I absolutely want to get my nose on this fragrance and want to hear if you have tried it and what do you think? It sounds like the perfect combination of florals with vanilla. Ooh, very interested in trying this. Then I've heard a lot of my lovely peers here on YouTube talk about this next fragrance. My girl Marcy at Marcelina Teresa, she actually has a bottle of this, and every time she shows it, I'm just like drooling, like there's drool coming down my face. This is Quattro Pizzi, Quattro Pizzi. Oh my gosh, somebody's going to roast me for the pronunciation. Help me out, friends, in the comments. Anyway, this bottle that's on the screen, the bottle looks lovely. The notes sound super interesting, potentially dangerous as a combo. Rum, Divana. If you're not familiar with Divana, it can smell a little bit green and slightly earthy and a little bit sort of floral-esque. Pink pepper, coriander in the top, tuberose and coconut in the mid. And that's really what has me interested. I mean, I've got my like eyes bulging out of my head, like tuberose plus coconut. Someone let me sample this. In the base, hay, blonde leaf tobacco, and tonka bean. I'm imagining that this fragrance smells floral and creamy and intriguing and like maybe even dark and deep with the booziness plus the tonka bean. I don't know. I haven't tried it. I've seen Marcy talk about it and maybe a few other people where I'm like, just like I said, just like where can I find this fragrance? Is it just available overseas right now? I'm not sure, but it's one that I thought about blind buying at full price. It's 270 euros. So whatever that translates into, let me do the conversion, y'all. Hang on a minute. Lord have mercy. So I see the dollar isn't doing so well. 270 euro would translate to about 288 US dollars. That's pricey. So I thought about blind buying. I'm going to resist and see what this is giving and see if I can get a sample or a decant of this. But I'd love to know, have you tried this fragrance? Is it all that in a bag of chips? Or is it just the bag of chips? Or just a soda? Or maybe it's just a banana? Perhaps it's just a coconut. Let me know your thoughts. I'm extremely interested in this. The bottle looks fantastic. Let's move on. And then the last one that I was interested in as soon as I saw the ads for it, it's Room 1015 Wavechild. I've enjoyed a lot of the fragrances that I've tried from this house. I haven't purchased any of them yet. I've tried Cherry Punk, I've tried Sonic Flower, and a few others, and I thought they were all nice and full bottle worthy. For some reason, I just haven't pulled the trigger on any of them, not for anything in particular. I don't know. So anyway, this bottle is blue, and what's attracting me to this is watermelon and coconut. Watermelon and coconut. It's also got, it looks like a healthy dose of citrus notes, amberwoods, cocoa, ambergris. I've heard this fragrance described so many ways. One of the ways that it has been described has been like a light, almost like a thin coconut water with a fresh watermelon. So friends, help me out here. I have been on the search for a genuine watermelon fragrance. I know there's the new Middle Eastern one. I think it's called Batik or something that everyone is raving over, but I've heard that described as like a watermelon Jolly Rancher, which is a nice scent, but that's not the scent that I'm looking for. I am on the hunt for a fragrance that smells like New West for Women by Aramis. Do you remember that? It's been discontinued. The men's New West, I still think is still in production. I'm not sure, but that New West fragrance had just this beautiful, fresh watermelon cologne, like the note cologne type of thing happening that was so fresh and beautiful. And so I'm really interested in getting something like that again. The closest that I have come is Hydra, and the bottle for that, I'll put it on the screen. That one has watermelon and some minty notes, and it's very fresh and a beautiful fragrance, but it's not New West, which is what I'm looking for. I don't know why I'm bringing that up. I don't think that Wavechild smells like New West, but I'm meaning to say that I'm looking for that fresh watermelon smell. I'm talking about that amazing, indescribably refreshing smell that you get when you cut into a really ripe watermelon that's ready to be scooped out and eaten right there. Like a sugary watermelon, but it's also fresh. You get the point. And so I'm wanting to know whether it smells like that. I would love for the coconut to be creamy. I'm hearing that it's not. I still want to try this fragrance. People seem to really enjoy this. So if you have tried it, let me know. I'm looking at the Lucky Scent website and they have those little dabber samples. I'm not doing dabber samples anymore. You got to give me at least a 2 milliliter sample that I can spray on. I'm not doing those. I'm not doing it anymore. That's what I've got for today's video. If you tried any of these recent ones at the end, please share your thoughts in the comments. If you've tried the other ones and you've loved them or you've hated them, either way, let us know your thoughts. Everybody's experiences are welcome here so long as you keep it polite and cool in the comments. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care, friends.